What is up, fellow summoners? Welcome to the channel today. Thanks for stopping by. This video is something a little bit different than what I normally would put together, something just for fun. What sparked the idea is yesterday in my crystal opening. If you haven't seen it already, I guess I'm spoiling it, but I had 2 4 stars to open. One of those was Iron Patriot, which I was super bummed out for. I now have him at signature level 40. And he's a character that I think is probably, he's kind of the punching bag for characters in MCOC right now. For a while, it was, I feel like it was Rhino and Abomination for a long time. Then it became Spider-Gwen. And then they updated Spider-Gwen a little bit, and now it seems like kind of the full brunt of that is falling on Iron Patriot. Which he's not a terrible character. He's not fun to play with. He's not interesting. Nothing about him would make you bring him in over any other champ. So I think it's definitely time for a refresh, and I feel like if we push hard enough for one, we'll probably see it in the next patch. So I'm doing your homework for you, Kabam. All you need to do is just copy and paste this, send it to your development team. I mean, if truly the desire of the development team is to see the player base be very diverse and the number of different champs that we're using, then definitely he needs a rework. I think what kind of has opened my eyes to this a lot is the refresh that was done with Punisher and was done with Winter Soldier. Really brought a lot of life back into the game for those characters. So they weren't huge changes, but a little tweak here and there could do wonders for champs that aren't used a whole lot. So this is mostly just for fun. Would love to hear kind of your take on it down below. Here's some suggestions from you. I posted on Twitter and had a lot of good reaction to it. So anyway, let's just have some fun. We'll jump right into it. So I think that you have to start at the signature ability when it comes to Iron Patriot. I think this is by far one of the biggest sticking points for the community as a whole when you're looking at this champ. Which, when they were in the development for this, I don't know who thought it was a good idea to give an awakened ability to a champ that is actually going to make the champ worse after having used it. You can read through it here for yourself. After you drop below 15% health, you start a regeneration. So this is exactly like Iron Man, Superior Iron Man, Ultron when he goes below 50% or 25% health. You automatically will kick into this regen state that lasts for a couple seconds. And in addition to that, while the regen is going on, you actually gain 50% power. But the thing that doesn't make any sense is once that regen is done, if you continue to read here, it says after that, his suit burns out. He can no longer trigger armor up. He can't armor break with his specials. He can't stun, and he loses all of his base health. So basically, when you need your awakened ability the most, so you get below 15% health, you're trying to finish the fight, you're trying to stay alive, you're trying to do as much damage as possible. When you trigger your awakened ability, from that point moving forward, you are now a worse champ than you have been at any point else in the entire fight. Which it doesn't make any sense to me that they give you an increase to your power gain, but then remove all of the abilities from your specials. It's counterintuitive. You can no longer armor break, you can no longer stun, you have no armor yourself, so all that regen that you just got back is going to go right out the window the first time you get hit. So it's a real head scratcher to me, it really is. The awakened ability is supposed to be a complement to what you're already doing, not a hindrance, not something that actually takes away from the character. It's almost like if you were running the Suicide Masteries, so you had recoil damage you were taking, bleeds and poisons, but you had none of the benefits. You didn't have an increase to your PI, you weren't doing extra damage, you just were receiving damage yourself for no reason at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. So this, I think, if they did nothing else to the character, I think if they just addressed this, I think it would make a lot of people happy. Personally, I feel like he needs some sort of a regen. I feel like a lot of the tech champs have got regens, and I feel like he definitely needs that. But I don't necessarily think that the arc overload and dropping below the 15% health is the way to do it. We've already seen that with other champs. Like I mentioned, Iron Man, Superior Iron Man, Ultron, they've all got that. I feel like he needs something totally different, but is still kind of in line with the regen. I feel like if you go to Wikipedia and you read through his power and abilities, let me just read through them real quick for you, because I'm going to touch on all this later on. But the Iron Patriot armor features superhuman strength, enhanced durability, flight, magnetic impact blast, heat-seeking missiles, miniaturized lasers, flamethrowers, and communication system housed in the helmet, which allowed the suit to interface with any US-controlled satellite or computer network. And it's that last part right there, that ability to interface with satellites and computer networks. I think that that is what they should trigger, what they should focus his signature ability on. I feel like if you could, and don't jump on me here, because I've always kind of bashed hold down abilities, but I think if they're tied to blocking, they're much more useful than if they're tied to heavy attacks. You know, I think if you were to swipe back and hold down block, let's say for 2.5 seconds, I feel like his signature ability should allow him to start like hacking into satellites, trying to reprogram his suit, trying to repair the suit. Maybe it's like a 5% regen, or maybe a 10% regen, maybe stretched out over a longer period of time. So it's more like a passive regen that you're receiving, maybe along the lines, kind of picture Old Man Logan, maybe a little bit stronger than that. You know, a regen that you're getting kind of in over time. So if you can extend the fight, you get a lot of health over a long time, but it doesn't all kind of jump in at once like Iron Man does. You can kind of do it from the beginning, which if you tie in his stun abilities with that, it makes more sense. You know, you could stun with your specials, swipe back, you could hold your block. Maybe if you even wanted to make it 3 seconds, make it something longer that you can't use every single time you block, something you've got to plan out. But I think that is way more in line with a character that I would like to play. I think that would be way more useful. And I think that matches more of his power and his abilities than what we currently see with his S3. I think his chance to armor up, 10% chance, I think that's fine. That still feels right in line with his abilities, his suit. Don't think that needs to be touched. The special one definitely needs a revamp. I think the animation, I think how it works, I think everything needs to be totally scrapped. I think there's an opportunity here to bring in, for the first time, a special one that actually has 2 different animations that you can pick from. And what I mean by that is maybe depending upon the last hit of your combo, your 5-hit combo, would determine what your special one would be. So if you do a 5-hit combo and you end with a medium, it's going to be 1 attack. If you do your 5-hit combo, you end with a light, it's going to be another. And I think if I kind of go back to his power and abilities, there's 2 different things that I wanted to point out here. First, it talks about a magnetic impact blast. So I think that definitely needs to be one of the options. I'm picturing animations somewhere along the lines of Black Bolt's S3, you know, kind of that sound wave that you see. I'm kind of picturing that coming out of like an arm rifle thing. I don't know. But I feel like that is the one that probably should stun. So if you're trying to get your suit to heal up, you're holding back, you know, with your signature ability, you would want to end, let's say, on a medium. That way you could use your magnetic impact blast. You could stun them for like 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds, whatever you want to make it. You can hold block, try to recharge your armor, and that makes sense to me. Then the second one, if you want to finish your combo then with a light attack, I think we should bring in a flamethrower. It says right there in his abilities that he has a flamethrower. We have seen with Ghost Rider that they can do, if you can picture his S2, where he kind of shoots the flames out of his mouth. That is kind of what I'm picturing from like a flamethrower mounted on the arm. And that definitely would have some sort of an incinerate flavor to it. Maybe even a small power lock, or maybe a small heal block. But I think having the differentiation between the 2, I think is a really cool idea. And I don't think we've seen anything like that yet that I can think of. So the S2, I don't feel like it needs to be changed as far as its ability. I think the armor break and I think the stun both work just fine. I don't think you need to change those. But I definitely think the animation needs to be reworked. That kind of spinning copy-paste of Black Bolt's S2 needs to go away. I think even Black Bolt needs to be redone, but that's a totally different conversation. I think what would be more in line with the character and the flavor of what you're going for as far as his abilities with his suit would be not a ranged attack. I think it still needs to be physical, but somewhere a mix between the lunge forward that you see Quake do with her S2 and some mixed with some sort of War Machine S2. That first part before he fires off his shoulder-mounted rocket, he kind of jumps, lunges forward with his, it's like a rocket boost kind of thing. He jumps up and comes down. I think a combination of those 2 things is probably where his S2 needs to be. Again, don't need to touch it, I don't think, as far as its abilities. The armor break, the stun, those are fine. But the animation definitely needs to be reworked. Then finally for the S3, I don't have like an exact picture in my mind of what the animation should look like. I remember when his S3 came out with Iron Patriot, I thought it was cool, but the longer that the game goes on, it just looks more and more dated. It just needs to be changed. I think there's an opportunity there to incorporate, you know, his lasers. He's got heat-seeking missiles. All of that could be used. I think as far as the ability of the S3, I think you could probably drop the stun chance from it, and in its place add either, if you're going to use the lasers and heat-seeking missiles, either, I feel like you need to add another incinerate, or at the very least some sort of incinerate armor break, or incinerate heal block. Just, I think something there that adds a little bit of utility to the S3. The S3s almost never get used. You've almost got to give them a reason to be used. So I think if there was a little more utility that was not linked to stun, because I think his S2 has already got stun. You've got the opportunity with the magnetic blast with his S1 to stun. So I don't feel like every single special needs to stun, but definitely rework it. I think Incinerate is the way to go. I think lasers is what I would like to see. We've got Hyperion. We've got those laser beams that come out of his eyes. I think something similar to that could be used here with the S3 on Iron Patriot. And then add the Incinerate. And like I said, either pair it with a heal block or pair it with a power lock. I think it needs both of those things going for it. I know Kabam just released that picture yesterday showing they've got 16 new champs that they're working on, which I think that's awesome. I think that's great. In order for the game to be sustainable, I think we need new and interesting champs constantly coming to the game, and Kabam is always really good about that. I think sometimes, though, where they may fall a little bit short is the fact that with this ever-growing roster, you know, there's a lot of champs that are sitting in people's rosters that we never use. There's no incentive to use. They're not fun to use, and there's an opportunity there, and I hope that they're spending a little bit of time not just on you know, bringing out new content, but possibly looking at some of these older champs and thinking about refreshing them. You know, I do have hope. I think we saw that as one of the very few bright spots that came out of 12.0, is that they can tweak old champs a little bit. I'm thinking Winter Soldier and Punisher here. They can tweak them just a little bit and bring a lot more fun back to the game. If they did nothing more than just change the animations, that would make me happy, but I think there's actually an opportunity as the game changes, as the game develops, as new buffs are added, as new champions have ever-increasing and complex abilities. I think some of these older champs need a rework, and I think this is a great place to start. Overall, this video was mostly just for fun. I just had some ideas that have been rolling around in my head and wanted to get them out there. It really kind of pushed it to the front of my thoughts when I pulled that Iron Patriot yesterday, so that's why I decided to start it on him. I'm not sure if I'll turn this into a series or not. There's obviously a ton of champs that you could do this for, but I don't know. I guess it just depends upon the reaction to it. If you guys enjoy it, maybe we'll look at doing more. Obviously, I'm sure many of you have got much better ideas than I have got. If you want to share those with the community, I would love to hear them. I'm sure everybody else would as well. So definitely leave those down in the comment section below. If you got any questions, comments, you can hit me up over on Twitter as well. The link to that will be down in the description. All right, guys, until the next video, have a great day.